Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Beenleigh District Not-for-Profit Virtual Conference. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today in Beenleigh and across wider Queensland, in Melbourne, and anyone who has joined this conference from other parts of Australia. I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and also acknowledge any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander peoples joining this conference today. Particularly given these times that we're living in, I would also like to acknowledge any challenges that people may be experiencing with their mental well-being and hope everyone is looking after themselves as best as they can. So welcome everyone. It's fantastic to have everyone online with us today. For those who are joining the conference for the first time today, my name is Stefanie Maciulaitis, and I have the pleasure of co-hosting this event with the brilliant Anthony from Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre, who will be introducing himself shortly. I'm a Community Development Officer with the Alcohol and Drug Foundation, and I connected with Anthony for this as part of this conference through my Human Service Studies with Griffith University. So day 1 of the conference yesterday was truly wonderful, and for me personally, I love attending these kinds of events and really hearing the passion in people's voices as they present, or even when they engage through the Q&A and chat functions, which we know is so common for those of us who work in the not-for-profit sector. Day 1 yesterday opened up with our keynote speaker, Chris Mundy from the Queensland Families and Community Association, who brought us all back to the beginning and the roots of community and what it means for us, including what it means for us in these present times. We heard from Natasha of Family Drug Support and Katie from Lives Lived Well, discussing the wide range of available support for individuals, families and loved ones impacted by substance use or dependence. George presented to us on behalf of 4207 Hope on the work that they do in coordinating and connecting people in need with various resources and organisations, including food, shelter and medication. We had Russell and Aggie from Relationships Australia talk to us on the prevalence of gambling in Queensland, the associated risk factors, and included a visual on the odds of winning the lottery. And apparently we have more of a chance of marrying a millionaire than winning the lottery. Aggie talked through what Relationships Australia offers through their victims counselling and support service for people seeking support for their gambling. In the afternoon, we had Annalise talk to us from Twin Rivers Centre on the range of programs they offer there, including upskilling opportunities for community members, such as certificates and preparing for employment, as well as peer-to-peer support programs. Wendy joined us from Caxton Legal Centre, helping us understand the range of services and resources available to build resilience when it comes to financial decision-making for the ageing population in Queensland. This was followed by Ree of the Multicultural Communities Council Gold Coast, talking to us about the I Speak Your Language program, available for anyone across Queensland to phone a volunteer and have a social conversation in their language. And they're seeing this to be particularly valuable this year throughout COVID for people within aged care. Our final 2 speakers for day 1 were Alison from Centrecare, who spoke to the vast range of programs they have available for children, adolescents, parents and men, many of which are focused around emotional well-being. And day 1 concluded with Christine from Soroptimist International, specifically the Beenleigh branch, presenting to us on the brilliant work they do in empowering women to have a voice, particularly in raising awareness on issues such as domestic violence, providing relevant resources to support women, which has been particularly crucial throughout COVID, and also taking a step back and celebrating women. So it was a massive day yesterday, and it was an absolutely fabulous day. A reminder to everyone that these 2 days are recorded, and the recordings will be available in the upcoming months as individual presentations and as a whole recording, and these will be available on beenleigh.org.au. And the contact details of the presenters will also be provided to everyone who has attended this conference and those who presented as well. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Stefanie. That was an excellent summary of day 1. We We met some great presenters. We heard some great information. I particularly like to associate myself with your comments regarding acknowledgement of country, particularly, and the mental health impacts of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. It really is having an effect. People have lost their jobs. People have been impacted in many different ways down south. As you'd know, Stefanie, there's some quite stringent restrictions around stage 4. So it is very important that people look after their mental health during this challenging time. I'm very much looking forward to today. If it's anything like yesterday, we have an absolutely fantastic lineup of presenters who will be joining us. First up, we're going to have Sarah Horsey, Head of Sales and Marketing from Southern Cross Care. Sarah will be doing a 15-minute presentation. All presentations will be 15 minutes today. I know yesterday we had a couple of 30-minute presentations, which was fantastic, but all will be 15 minutes. So our last presentation is scheduled for 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. We should have us wrapping up shortly after that, all going well. Thank you to all the attendees that have joined us again today. We've got many of the attendees that joined us for the full day yesterday, as well as some new faces. So to those new attendees, welcome and thank you for joining us. Okay, so as I said, we've got Sarah Horsey from Southern Cross Care beginning at 9:30. So according to my clock, that's about 9 minutes away. So we're just going to disappear for about 9 minutes and then we will be back to introduce Sarah at 9:30. Thank you again for joining us.
Okay, so just before we move into the first presenter, just a reminder to all attendees just about the Q&A function, which can be found at either the bottom or the top of your Zoom screen. Please use this function to ask questions or make comments for the presenters. I think as presenters, they always like to read feedback in terms of what they've presented on. So please feel free to use the Q&A function. If we could just reserve the chat function, which is also found at either the top or the bottom of the screen, to interact with either myself or Anthony. So first up, our first presenter is Sarah Horsey, and she is the Head of Sales and Marketing at Southern Cross Care. Welcome, Sarah.
Good morning, thanks Stefanie, and thanks Stefanie and Anthony for the opportunity to be here today and share my story. I'm sitting in front of mirrors in an apartment if the background view looks a bit strange. Okay, and just to echo Stefanie's acknowledgement of the lands and the elders past, present and emerging, even though we are physically dispersed and virtually gathered, just want to make that acknowledgement to country. So a little bit about Southern Cross Care Queensland. We have just celebrated last year our 40th birthday, established by the Knights of the Southern Cross, which were a group of Catholic men, mainly men in the Brisbane and Greater Brisbane area, who came together to first create Jewig Village in Holland Park. Really designed to help frail aged people of Queensland. We're not here for Catholics. We were just founded by Catholics and still hold those values very dear to ourselves. So location wise, in relation to Beenleigh, we have Eden's Landing, but as you can see, we've got some far western sites out at Chinchilla and Taroom, Mergen, Nanango, 2 sites out at Allara. So we've got 11 residential aged care facilities, 5 community care locations and 5 retirement villages. The other aspect of what we do is provide low cost housing. And whilst this isn't in the Beenleigh area, it may be of some interest to people on this call today. So this really is designed for senior citizens who are full age pension receivers and unable to sustain a tenancy through other means, don't own a house. So it's not officially means tested, but you do need to be a full age pensioner over 65. And they are 1-bedroom, fully self-contained villas, all ground floor amenities, fully fitted out kitchens, bathrooms, and they are close to residential aged care facilities within our group. So can pop over for meals, receive care, get home care services. Some of the facilities like the Mergen site, we run with RSL services as well. So that works really well for people that are looking for rental accommodation with some future support as they need it. So the other aspect is our home care business, Southern Cross Care Direct. We do have CHSP outputs, and we've just had those increased for the Brisbane area. So those low-level care and support where people need a little bit of extra help once a week, once a fortnight with everyday tasks or short bursts of immediate care. People who are also waiting for home care packages or an increase in their home care package funding can also use these Commonwealth Home Support Programme hours. And then as an accredited home care package provider, we cover Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Brisbane and Ipswich. And that's your standard home care package 1, 2, 3, 4, gardening, domestic assistance, home modifications, meal prep, community access, all the things you would expect to see for home care packages. And it's really important to us as a retirement living provider as well, that we do offer these support services to our current residents. Gives them that peace of mind that buying into a retirement village unit with Southern Cross Care does mean you have access to these other services on site through your current provider, if you like, as your retirement provider. They are also welcome to bring in any other provider they choose. So somebody moving into one of our retirement villages from home can bring their blue care provider or whoever they'd like to bring, that's fine as well. So close to Beenleigh, we have our Eden's Landing retirement village, very established village. And these are solid brick homes. And as we touched on yesterday, these are not the manufactured home, these are retirement village units. Solid villas, very low ingoing contribution for a 1-bed unit, it's just 190,000. 2-bed units are starting from 245,000. And these are fully self-contained units with garages, laundries, outside areas, really quite spacious apartments. Co-located with home care and aged care on site. Meals are available. There's a pool and a community centre and a village bus. And as I said, these are affordable units. So just to give you some more pictures of the inside, we've got the on-site team being Gary Watts, who's our retirement village manager, who I believe is on the call today. And Gary is supported by maintenance and gardening staff and cleaning staff on site as well to keep that village in tip-top condition. Really close to the local shops and the police station there in Lone Drive, so it feels very safe, and just a short walk around the corner to the train station. So as I mentioned, village bus, no worries about maintenance. A light globe goes in the kitchen. The resident calls the maintenance guy who pops over and changes that for no fee. No gardening to worry about, though many residents do enjoy gardening still. You can share that load with the gardener and they can take on mowing and things like that, as people aren't able to do those anymore, and certainly support the people that still enjoy gardening. So just a couple of floor plans there. There's a 2-bed and a 3-bed. There is a 1-bed design as well, which is very similar layout to that 2-bed. And as you can see, you've got outside space and fully independent living. Shut your front door and people leave you alone. We have the vital call system installed, so you can get support 24/7, but also that on-site care team if future needs require. And then Connolly Court, which is our co-located residential aged care facility. It's a 60-bed facility offering 24/7 high care and dementia-specific care. Diversional therapy every day, physios, lifestyle activities to ensure that residents have absolutely plenty to do and can enjoy what they're doing. So that's our traditional nursing home. This home is set up to be sort of 4 separate little pods of housing. So it's not, you know, big long corridors of bedrooms. Each of these pods is run like a home itself with a central dining area, and residents can come together to dine with a broader group, or they can dine in their separate pods. So it really gives people some freedom and flexibility as to how they'd like to live their lives with that care and support in place. So a typical room at Connolly Court, they're all ensuite rooms, they're all single rooms. We cater for couples where we try and have 2 rooms next door to one another, and they can certainly make one a bedroom and one a lounge. We do take concessional clients, so people with low or no means are welcome to come and live at Connolly Court. We also have refundable accommodation deposit options and the daily accommodation deposit options as well. For those people that may have a home to sell, they can certainly come in and we'll sort out the finances as we go along. Home cooked meals on site, all our own staff, really consistent caring staff at Connolly Court, some really long-standing staff. And our aim is to provide a really smooth transition for people who are coming in from a home environment or indeed from our retirement living environment. We know it's a really challenging time for often the client and their family. Sometimes the person's ended up in hospital and they don't feel like they've got a huge amount of choice. So we're really trying to aim to be a place where people can choose to come and not feel forced. Very open to people coming and having a look, and if any of you would ever like to come and tour either the retirement village or the residential aged care, you're very welcome to do so. My contact details are just at the end. We also have respite available. So those clients who have either NDIS respite funding or have respite approved on their ACAT assessment, as well as privately funded, are very welcome to attend and see what they think. It's a good way to try before you buy. Those home care clients that we see that perhaps don't cope, or they have a loved one who's usually very involved and they are going away on holiday, it's a really good option to give relatives peace of mind, being able to provide that respite service for them. Okay, so my contact details, as Stefanie mentioned, I am Head of Sales and Marketing. My main first hat though is I am a registered nurse and a continence nurse advisor. So I'm really passionate about navigating aged care and home care services for people, providing really transparent advice. In retirement living, we give everyone a tour book with all the fees explained. Our monthly fees are purely cost recovery. We do have a deferred management fee, that exit fee, but as you can see, we do have a really low ingoing contribution to make it affordable to people whilst they're living with us and keep as much money in their pockets as possible. I work really closely with other financial advisors where necessary to make sure people really are well informed, and we encourage people very strongly to involve family in all of these decisions. So we do have a brand new website with a service finder function on the website. So people are welcome to go in there and you can choose if you're looking for yourself, somebody else, what level of care you think you might need, if it's basic assistance with domestic, or if it's higher level of care, or in fact independent living. And literally the customer can click through this service finder and it will present them with options based on the location they're most interested in. So really designed to help people navigate in the first instance without any needing to call anyone. People find that a bit confronting, but also if they do want to call our direct number 1800 there, or my mobile, very happy to take calls at any time. So thanks everyone, and thanks Stephanie and Anthony again for the opportunity today.
Thanks so much, Sarah. That's really excellent. I think it's really important for community members to be able to navigate aged care, which can be a really, really overwhelming process for a lot of people, even just working out where to even begin. And it's really important for them to be able to make informed decisions because it impacts their day-to-day. So, and getting the family involved as well. So thank you so much for presenting today, and it was great hearing about the range of low-cost housing and the home support program and the packages and the range of services that are available, even though some of that's not specifically in Beenleigh. I think for attendees and other presenters and anyone who watches these videos, it's very useful information.
Lovely. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Anthony.
Great. And there was a comment from Gary saying, fantastic presentation, Sarah. Always good to have support.
Good to have team support.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excellent. So at 10 o'clock what are we now, 9:46. So in 14 minutes, we will be having Chad Rains, who is a case manager at Homeward. So we'll see you all back here at 10 a.m. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back, everyone. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Chad Rains. Chad is a case manager with Homeward in the Assisted Returns program. I imagine Chad and the rest of his colleagues are quite busy at the moment. You'll understand why shortly, but with COVID-19 and people being trapped outside of their home countries, things can be very difficult for people. So I would like now to introduce Chad. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks for having me here today to present a little bit about our program. So I'll just talk about, I'll do an acknowledgement of country as well. I'll just get my PowerPoint up here. So I just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, sea and community, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So today's agenda, I'll just talk a little bit of an overview about Homeward, why people access Homeward, how to access Homeward, the services we provide, the program so far, and the progress we've had, and some of the feedback we've had as well. How to contact us, and then there'll be some time for questions and answers at the end. So how people access Homeward, many reasons. These are just a few of them, I suppose. People missing home, broken relationships, they could be unlawful and fear of being detained, may not have a current passport and require a new travel document. They can't afford to return home. They may need some medical assistance or even an escort, which we've done before. The political climate may have changed in their return country. They may have come here on some sort of work visa and have been exploited. It's unsafe for them to remain in Australia due to any sort of issues they may have had. They might have got involved in drugs or any sort of alcohol addictions and so forth. And they may have become unwell as well and can't access appropriate medical support while they're here in Australia. How to access Homewood? There's a few different ways. We've got people need to be eligible first. So this includes people that may be on any sort of temporary visa or other temporary visas. Those living in Australia with a current visa, without a visa or one that's expired. Those people that have arrived by boat or plane without a valid visa. So pending consent from the Department of Home Affairs, they will confirm their eligibility. The majority of people are made eligible. But I'm happy to answer some questions about that. That's usually one that people want to ask some questions about. The services we provide, each client of ours or recipient, they're assigned their own caseworker. We meet with them or speak with them over the phone, depending on where they are, anywhere in Queensland or anywhere in Australia, really. However, myself and my colleague, Eri, we concentrate in Queensland. So we've got colleagues in other states as well. So we plan a meeting with them. We can organise flights, any sort of short-term accommodation they may need. This can vary from, it's on a sort of case-by-case basis. So some people may need accommodation, they may not. We can arrange transport to and from airports. Also assist if they need a new passport, travel document. And we can also help them with connecting with friends or family once they get home. So we make sure that any travel requirements are organised. We can also provide people that don't speak English. We can use the TIS service, the interpreting services, or we also can provide some translated brochures that we have on our website as well for anybody to have a look at. Some people may need a fit to fly, depending on their medical situation, which we can help with that as well. And also if they need to go to any third party, eligible third country, for example, they may be a British citizen but have family in Canada or whatnot and may need to go to another country. So we'll work through that with them and with the Department of Home Affairs, or even with any embassies or consulates that we may need to get involved with as well. The program sort of started, didn't sort of started, it did start in October 2018, and we're still going strong. So these are just some of the statistics that we've done over that time. That's Australia-wide, so not just in Queensland. And we've got a call centre in Canberra. You can have a look through that. Some of the feedback we've had there as well. They're just comments made by some of our recipients over time to some of our caseworkers. Generally speaking, all the feedback is positive. I can't recall any negative feedback. It is a voluntary program, so people choose to go for whatever reason. So we don't. There's no pressure in people wanting to go. Some people have not gone, like right up to the time of the flight. They've decided to disengage and not want to go home. So that happens from time to time as well for whatever reason. But generally speaking, it's definitely a voluntary program. People can just call and get information from our call centre or get on the website. There's quite a lot of information on there as well. How to contact Homewood. We have a designated call centre, as said before, that's in Canberra. We've got our website as well. And there's my details there and my email address down the bottom there as well. That's just our team there. It's a small team. There's only 10 of us Australia-wide. We're pretty multicultural sort of group where everyone's from somewhere different around the world. I'm probably one of the only Australians in the program, so we are culturally competent in what we do. So that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. And that's it, guys. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Chad. That was fantastic, and I can't imagine what it must be like to be away from your home country. You want to go home, but you can't for one reason or another, especially for financial reasons. It'd be quite terrifying. So it's great that there is a service like the one you're offering to assist people. One question I do have things really ramped up since COVID? I imagine they would have.
I think, yeah, July's been our busiest month to date. It's sort of difficult to get flights at the moment, obviously, but there are some things opening up, and we've been able to work with a few consulates and embassies who have arranged repatriation flights to certain countries. Some other private travel companies have also arranged charter flights as well to certain countries. So there are flights available. It's just obviously not as they're not as readily as available as they were previously to COVID starting. So that has been a challenge. But saying that, there's a lot more students we're finding as well. Students that have been in Australia studying have had to cancel their visa and return home because they've had no money to continue living here, pay rent and food and whatnot. So that's been a bit probably disappointing, I suppose, and that'll impact other avenues of the of society, I suppose, moving forward.
Sure. No, that makes complete sense, especially about the lack of flights. I imagine a lot of people have to travel via a third country because airlines are making the most of their routes and trying to save costs and whatnot. So, yeah, anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We'll share your contact details afterwards, and hopefully any organisations who wish to refer through to you will do so. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so we've got a bit of a break now. Up next at 11 a.m. will be Angela and Christine from the Logan Together Backbone team, a fantastic initiative within Logan City. Beenleigh, for those who may not know, is a suburb of Logan City. The Logan Together initiative does a lot to help families and particularly early years. So we look forward to hearing from Angela and Christine at 11 a.m. Thank you.
I'm back, everyone. I hope everyone had a nice morning tea break. I certainly got out in the sunshine, which was absolutely lovely. So it's my pleasure to introduce the next two presenters. It's a presentation with two people, which is fabulous. And that is Angela Tuisamoa and Christine Gross. And apologies if I pronounce those incorrectly. They are community empowerment agents from the Logan Together Backbone team. Welcome.
Morning, Stefanie. Well, good morning, everyone. You did pronounce it right, Stefanie. I'm Angela Tuisamoa. I'm from the Backbone team in the Community Empowerment section. And today, Christine and I are both on at the Griffith campus in Logan. And I'm a community member, so I live and work and breathe in Logan. So I want to acknowledge the Yugambeh speaking people and also the Yagara people that have had ancestors and continue to look after this beautiful land that we meet on. And I'd like to acknowledge Sorry Business if there's any here. And also if you're meeting in other parts of country, and to pay respect to all the elders that are with us today, but also the ones that we're working with in regards to Logan Together and the elders in training.
Thanks, Ange. Yes, we building on the wisdom of the generations before us, looking after Jarjum, and Logan Together is a collective impact movement that's focused on having the best possible life available for children in Logan. It's a child development project, but it's about individuals, families, children, businesses, the community sector, and governments all coming together with shared aims. And there's, at this stage, we've got, you know, we're 5 years through our 10-year backbone plan. And so there's plenty of opportunity for people to get involved. One of the things that we've done recently is within the movement is the development of the Logan Children's Charter. If people aren't familiar with it, you can access it via our website or the council website. But where Ange and I are particularly focused is that active participation of young people's voices in deciding what should be happening in Logan. A big piece in coming together and looking at what will make a difference for future generations is where do we invest? And the research shows that the earlier you invest in making a difference for good outcomes, the better. So those prenatal programs and in the first 1,000 days, that's a big focus. So in collective impact, it means coming together, working out what makes a difference, and investing well.
So just what really excited me about when I saw that this conference was happening, when you talked about smashing silos, and this is what Logan Together is. So it's right here, right in the Beenleigh area, and that's what we're, that's the aim of this collective impact movement, is to and gather more services and community to have an equal voice. So this diagram here is our a way to try and explain the governance of Logan Together, because to be fair, you can say getting rid of silos, but it's a really tough job, because you know we were all being conditioned to work like that. And I remember yesterday when Chris said things about our funding structure, it doesn't support a collective impact, or it really does support silos. So here you can see we have little pieces of pie that are equal, but right in the middle is our anchor, which is Warrayaragu, our First Nations port of call for us as a movement. So in the middle there is a little wavy bit. It represents the rivers, and the river in Logan, the rivers. So the two sides, we draw wisdom from service providers, traditional owners, and people that have put their hand up and said, look, Judgem do matter to me, and I want to see life for Judgem to be better than what it is currently. So that's when we draw on their wisdom, this is what their focus is. And so there's some layers there as well. Christine and I are in that support function of the backbone. But you can see here, service providers, government, and also our leadership table, they're the ones driving, and we want, and community, our community groups, we all want an equal voice within projects and things that are happening. And you see down here in the bottom, there are many projects going on, and the function of the backbone team is to support those projects and to provide provide support.
So this is one way of showing those actions. So those little purple octagons are about doing things. And so the roadmap that was set early on in the Logan Together journey was, well, what are the sort of things that we need to do to make a difference for children in Logan? So this is a very busy representation, but it's just one example of the priorities that have been set, where the projects and the movement is focused on trying to make a difference.
And also there's a bit there on how to measure, you know, what's success, or knowing that we've moved that needle in development vulnerability for our children 0 to 8, we've got some things up there that we can measure against.
But where Ange and I really live is about ensuring that all of the projects, all of the planning, all of the thinking about how well we've done when it comes to reducing developmental vulnerability in Logan is around the community voice, making sure that in our governance structure, which we showed you earlier, that community are in the driver's seat, that where there's services in Logan that are addressing the family's needs, that the voices of families, of parents, of carers, of children are influencing how those services are delivered. And then at the Logan community level, how do ordinary people have a say in the decisions and the investment that happens? So we see that the opportunity with collective impact and our governance structure is a democratization of what's happening for families in Logan.
So some of the examples that we've been working on, we were privileged to host, so Logan was privileged to host the Change Fest, which was a place-based big conference, and I had the opportunity to meet with lots of different people from all over Australia that were community members that had a passion to see shift and to have their voice heard. So our Logan cohort went to, so that happened in 2018, and last year Change Fest was in Mount Druitt, and the Logan cohort, that the community members that put their hands up and were able to benefit from a scholarship, trudged down to Mount Druitt, had a great week, and Deepening Democracy has now been established. So that's a project group that will sit with Logan together, but they'll also be looking at broader things within the community and how to strengthen community voice, and again, where they can sit within decision making.
So some other examples of how we are elevating and amplifying community voice is through a community connector model. It's a bit of a buzzword. Some of you probably have heard it before, but that's really about identifying, supporting, and acknowledging those community leaders that sit throughout Logan who are doing the work, the go-to people in their neighborhood, identifying them and providing them with employment opportunities to connect with our projects and initiatives. So that's been something that we've been doing for a year or so, and we'll continue to, whenever there's a new initiative, we'll be looking at who in community can assist us and connect with them. And the next, I guess, initiative that we really are thinking through now is about developing a citizen panel of parents and carers and young people in Logan who can be a go-to deliberative, like a think tank, where people have got a new idea for a service, or they want to check in about how they're, how they're working in community. It's going to be an advisory body where you can go and have a yarn, provide this sort of information, but get, I guess, some real time about how things play out on the ground. So that's our next initiative that we hope to have up and running by the end of the year.
Yeah, I was part of, when I first heard about Logan Together as a community member with 2 children within that 0 to 8 space, and I pricked my ears up and I was really interested. So I did part of that, the development of the roadmap and massive plenary meetings. And so now I've had the privilege of being employed in the Backbone team. And this year, and in the last couple of years, we've had some partners come in and ask for some listening to be done within community. And we heard about parents' challenge, one of them was parents' challenges to accessing allied health. And also we did some work with the Department of Housing around homelessness.
But it's not just listening. There's also some structural changes that have been required to deliver on a collective impact and our roadmap. So one example is the establishment of the maternal and child hubs in Logan. So when we started, there was evidence that there was about 600 women in Logan who got little per year, who got little or no care during their pregnancy. And this was double the Queensland average. So something was going on. when we went out and talked with women, there's a list there that you can see on your screen, a whole bunch of reasons about why people weren't accessing prenatal care. So now, 5 years along, we've got 4 hubs up and running based in the community. So where women can go and families can go and get their clinical care, their needs met, but also be connected into a more holistic community response. There's currently about 27 midwives operating within this model, and so far 880 women have birthed through the hubs. And what we have seen is that this has also then led to some significant improvement in outcomes. I mean, we're still early on our journey, but particularly around things like the number of antenatal care appointments and the birth weight of babies. There's strong evidence that by listening to community, because this idea about community hubs wasn't something that Logan Together came up with. There'd been strong community support for years. What we were able to do was to broker the relationships, bring people together to make it happen.
One thing I really, really love about this whole movement is, you know, we could say, oh, that's a great success. You know, we've got all these women going to community hubs, but we're now able to do an even deeper dive on other things that can support maternity, the maternity space, and hear more from community and say, hey, let's work around this as a collaborative and do something even better. And so, yeah, we've heard lately some really great stories, and we're going to be able to partner with the hubs and also other people that are interested in how to better maternity care in Logan. Here is, we have a website with a whole lot of resources that you can have a look at. And I know this is being taped, so for late, you can put a pause on that and see all the things that are on our website that you can download.
And you can see there's the links, and you can access the Facebook page. We also have a dedicated early years website for people interested in quality kindy and early childhood education. And there's the email addresses for Ange and myself if you've got any follow-up questions, because I think we've taken up a lot of our time. Not sure if there's any time left for questions, but we're up for it now if there is.
Thank you, Angela and Christine. That was fabulous. Absolutely.
There's so much more. There's just one more thing that I wanted to say about all the work we've been doing around the gateways, the community gateways, because when I heard Chris yesterday, and I was like, oh, yes, we could fit that in, because we did talk with Anthony around, you know, and just all the exciting stuff that we get to hear about, just being in this kind of collective impact world and hearing what's happening in other places and how we can all join together with the Australia Together. Oh, I'm so excited. And I
love it. I absolutely
love that you guys did this.
Yeah, and look, I think it's quite, what I love about the collective impact sort of movement is it engages whole of community. And it's so focused around prevention and reducing those community risk factors. And I know with the work that I do both in Victoria and Tasmania, that collective impact movement is growing. And I know that quite a few of the organisations that I work with have referred to the Logan Together structure and movement as a sort of a true example of that work, which is really fabulous. And Angela, I think you're spot on that this framework and movement really does smash those silos. It really, really does. And it is a way of operating and working and supporting community collaboratively. So well done on the amazing work. And Wendy has just mentioned in the chat, great information. Thank you. So thank you. That was really, really fantastic. Some great information there, which we'll share with everyone, including your contact details. So thank you so much.
See you later. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, that was wonderful. So next up at 11:30, we have Agnes Kesmarki, who is the Queensland Health Promotion Officer for the Continence Foundation of Australia. So Agnes will be on at 11:30. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the Beenleigh District not-for-profit virtual conference. We've had a great morning so far, and we've still got many more panelists who will be joining us today. Next up, as promised, we have Agnes Kesmarki, the Queensland Health Promotion Officer for the Continence Foundation of Australia. The Continence Foundation of Australia, as Agnes will no doubt tell you, is the national peak body for incontinence prevention, management, education and awareness. Thank you for joining us today, Agnes.
Thank you, Anthony. So good morning, everybody, and welcome. As Anthony introduced me, I'm Agnes Kesmarki, and I'm the Queensland Health Promotion Officer for the Continence Foundation of Australia. You can see my details on the screen at the moment. So my role as the Health Promotion Officer, I'm able to provide free information sessions for organizations and their staff members about the Continence Foundation, our resources, and our online learning portal. Additionally, if an organization has a specific question or inquiry in regards to continence management, care, or treatment, I can tailor a presentation and bring in a continence health professional who will be able to answer those specific questions in that session. In the present time, I'm not able to do any face-to-face presentations, but I can offer online delivery through Zoom. So if you wish to organize me for a talk, please contact me via my email address or through the phone number displayed on the screen. So who is the Continence Foundation? We are the national peak body promoting bladder and bowel health in Australia for people with urinary and fecal incontinence, their families and their carers, and anyone involved in the treatment, care, or management of incontinence, including those people who may not have incontinence, but in some point in their life may experience incontinence. So why do we do what we do? Incontinence is actually quite a common issue, and it's not one of those things that a lot of times people like to open up about or talk about. Some people may experience it and they're not realizing that what they experience is incontinence. So it's very important that people do seek help if they have any form of leaking. In Australia, unfortunately, incontinence does affect 1 in 4 Australians. And it can present in a number of ways. And as the leading authority, we can help. So in ways that we can help is by providing learning resources to upskill the workforce through our online continence learning portal, offering support through our National Continence Helpline, which is a free telephone service staffed by continence specialist nurses who can answer anyone's questions or provide support or information or advice to both the general public and health professionals between Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We also inform the public and workforce through health promotion. That's where my role comes in as a health promotion officer. And we also advocate for change and improvement through our policy team, and we engage with the continence sector. Apart from the National Continence Helpline, the Foundation's largest resource is the website, which is continence.org.au. And it provides a wide range of information on all aspects of continence and incontinence. We also have incontinence information on our website in 30 different languages. And on our website, we also have a section which will give you access to our resources. So our resources include information brochures, posters, fact sheets, Aboriginal and First Strait Islander people's information as well. And most of our resources can be ordered as a hard copy and can be delivered to your address for free. And you can order them in bulk if you want to display them in your workplace, or you can download them as a PDF format and print them off. And we also have a magazine called Breach, which is our consumer magazine, comes out quarterly. So that can be also ordered through our resources section. The other good resource that the Continence Foundation provides for the public, and our health workers is the Continence Support Now, which is a web-based app So sometimes people get confused and they believe that they can find this app through the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, but it's not an actual phone app. So that's why we call it a web app. So it can be accessed through a web browser by putting in the Continence Support Now website address. And it will take you to the page that you can see right now on the right. And as you can see, it's got very clear and identifiable graphics and nice large text. And basically, it's a pocket guide for disability and aged care workers, providing bladder and bowel support. So for example, if someone needs to know how to change someone's catheter bag, if they click on the catheter section, there will be information and also videos, demonstration videos on how to correctly do the process. It also has sections where it would clearly advise the support worker when to escalate patient care to a registered nurse. So it's clearly identified with a red little hand symbol, which will draw the attention of the care worker and read the actual text. And then if they need further support from a registered nurse, then they can escalate it and find some support from those health professionals. And also the topics linked to further reading to increase the knowledge of the persons. It's a great little resource, as I said, especially for those people working in disability and aged care. Another resource that we have recently developed is our Continence Learning portal. It's an online portal developed by education and clinical specialists, offering a range of courses, educational resources, and professional development opportunities, and also provide learning opportunities to students with a range of knowledge, training, and experience. Now, the learning options include webinars. Some courses are open and free, and also there are some paid courses and also lectures. So it is actually free to create an account on continencelearning.com, which will give you access to our webinars and open courses and some information for free. And then if you do wish to take your knowledge base further, then you can then enter the paid courses as well. The Continence Foundation also has a membership. So the membership gives people access to our quarterly continence journal, delivering the latest thinking and research, weekly member updates offering up-to-date industry news and events. The membership also gives you discounts to the National Conference on Incontinence, and also discounts on courses available at the continencelearning.com website that I just talked about. We also have a fair bit of consumer support. So one of them is Incontinence in Confidence, which is a website that has been designed, well, it's the actual website address is incontinence.org.au. And it's designed for adolescents with information around building confidence and motivation and mental health support and how to manage incontinence during sports and sleepovers. So that website is a great resource for the younger people. Also toilet tactics, specially designed for Australian primary schools. And we have what's called Pelvic Floor First. So it's a website and it's also a downloadable phone app. And it shows people how to do exercises that are safe for their pelvic floor. So it's not pelvic floor exercises, but it gives people support who may experience incontinence or are at risk of incontinence. For example, someone who just given birth, they can't go back to the gym straight away and do all those hard exercises, or certain exercises may not be safe for their pelvic floor. So this website or app, if they access it, it will show them alternatives of what's safe in terms of exercise for their pelvic floor. And then we have Laugh Without Leaking, which is our yearly, I forgot, I had just a little bit of a brain freeze. It's our campaign, it's our national campaign, which happens in World Continence Week each year, which was in mid-June this year as well. Other consumer support that we offer for the public, and I suppose anyone in Australia, is the National Public Toilet Map. So this is once again an app, a phone app, or it could be as a website. They can be accessed either way. And the National Public Toilet Map shows you all the public toilets in Australia. So it's quite handy. So for example, you're going for a hike somewhere, as long as you got reception on your phone, You just type in where you're at in the app, and it will show you the closest public toilet to you. So you never have to be feeling like there is no option around. Also, I suppose for people who may not have a mobile phone where you can have an app, or if you don't use a mobile phone, you can also sit down at the computer and do a journey planner. So you can plan out the journey that you're going to take and see the toilets along the way that will be, and then just print it out, and then so you're all set and don't have to be booking in the last minute. It's also a good map because it shows you all the toilet facilities, so wheelchair access, when the toilet is open from until, if it has a shower, so anything to do with the toilet facility, this map will show you. Another thing that people are not aware of is the master locksmith access key, which is specifically designed for people with urgent need to use the toilet. So it's a key where you have to apply for it and you have to be eligible for it. And it gives people a 24/7 access to public toilets, but only those public toilets that bear the logo of the MLEC, which is what's called the MLEC key, which can be seen on the screen on the right. So if the public toilet has that logo on it, and if you do have this special key, then you can actually open it outside of normal operating hours. Oh, and that has actually come to the end. So that's our national helpline on the screen. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much for that that presentation, Agnes. That was great, and I learned a lot that I didn't know. You have so many resources. I thought I was particularly impressed by the Support Now web app for support workers. That's a great initiative, and by the looks of it, it's all graphical and step by step. And
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say also the resources for adolescents and children. That's great, and I guess children, you probably get a lot of parents accessing those resources, and adolescents, well, they can access in full privacy. So, because obviously it is a taboo topic in the Western world, so it's not something people go talking about. And the National Public Toilet Map, what a fantastic resource for anybody, really. I guess, yeah, even somebody who doesn't have continence issues could find that useful. And we've got a comment from one of our attendees, Wendy, from Caxton Legal Centre. She said, we met at Logan Love Seniors last year. That special key is a great thing to know about. Our seniors will love that.
Oh yes, no, that's, I mean, it's not a lot of people know about it, and I've been doing a lot of presentations to community groups over the past few years, and yes, it's something that people always find like, wow, they didn't know about it, and it's just so handy, especially if people have that condition where they have to go, and you don't want to go there and find the toilet locked. So if someone has that key, it's really, really valuable.
Sure, what a fantastic resource, and thank you for joining us today, Agnes. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
So we're going to have a lunch break. So our next presenter isn't up till 1 p.m. But when she is, it's Carla Scott from Brook Red in Beenleigh. Carla is a senior peer support worker. So we very much look forward to welcoming Carla.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the Beenleigh District Not-for-Profit Virtual Conference. We hope you have enjoyed listening and watching today's presenters who touched on a really diverse range of topics. We had Sarah from Southern Cross Care, an organisation that provides care and living to the ageing population. This includes low-cost housing, home support programs, home care packages, and a range of services to help individuals navigate aspects of the aged care system. We then had Chad from Homeward, a voluntary program that assists non-Australian citizens with returning to their home country. Angela and Christine joined us from Logan Together Backbone team, sharing with us some of the brilliant work they're doing in collaboration with the Logan community through their collective impact framework. And this includes in the areas of early childhood development, prenatal care and homelessness. And lastly, we had Agnes from the Continence Foundation of Australia that helps individuals, workplaces, support workers and the wider community understand and address bladder and bowel health. This afternoon, we have 5 speakers, and as Anthony mentioned this morning, we will be aiming to finish around about 3:30 p.m. We would love all of our attendees to stay until the end, not only for us to say a very big thank you to you all, but we'd also like to run a couple of very simple polls to capture your thoughts on the conference. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our next presenter, Carla Scott. Carla joins us from Brook Red and is a senior peer support worker. Welcome, Carla.
Hi, thank you. Yes, so thank you very much for inviting me to this today. I've really enjoyed my time. I actually took part in yesterday's one as well, and I've just been really inspired and filled with knowledge with really what's amazingly shared in our local area, which some of them I didn't know too much about. So we'll definitely be sharing that within our community. I'd like to just catch my breath. And I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we're meeting on today. And I'd really like to pay my respects to those elders, past, present, and emerging. And I'd really like to acknowledge this custodianship and the role for maintaining the country over the last 1,000 years plus. May their strength and wisdom be with us all today. I'd also like to acknowledge all of those who have a personal and very individual experience with mental illness, the strength of those with lived experience, and to those people who are present in this webinar and also in presence with us today. A little bit about peer support. So Brook Red deliver peer support. So our primary delivery to people is 18 up to the lovely ages of the golden years. We have a open door policy, not just for anyone that comes in, but also those who may be accessing the NDIS for packaging and stuff. But I thought I'd talk just a little bit about peer support as it's not quite known within the mental health sector. There's definitely a really big peer workforce. And Brook Red is one of the drivers within Queensland itself that really like to acknowledge the lived experience within our workforces. So at Brook Red, we're a peer-based, at Brook Red, we base our peer support on the foundations of having and sharing our lived experience. And that means sharing our journeys of being unwell, but our main focus is to share our journeys of recovery. So that really binds us as a community. We're not experts in life. We're definitely not here to, tell people rights and wrongs. We're here to walk beside them and teach them new skills and goals, and really encourage them to reach their most potential. So peer support is integral to recovery, is definitely what we believe. And it's about building and maintaining authentic and mutual connections with our peers. So any person that walks through our door at any of the services that we have, we identify them as humans, as people, and they will be referred to probably through this as I'm speaking as community members. Being genuinely empathetic and non-judgmental, sharing our hope, knowledge and experience, and show that recovery is real and possible. Challenging ourselves and others to fully explore and engage in recovery. So when we're talking about recovery, we're not trying to reset a person's life. We're not dismissing what they've been through. We're not trying to wipe the past. What we're helping them do is be able to share their experiences in a safe environment and know that they're able to grow from that. Challenging ourselves and others to fully explore and engage in recovery can definitely be scary. We get a lot of people coming out of hospitals, which is where a few of our referrals come from. We get a lot of walk-ins as well. We work with other services for their clients to be able to come in and participate in some of the stuff that we do as well. But the door's open for anyone that identifies with having a lived experience. Challenging stigma and discrimination by openly demonstrating recovery and the skills, ability, that people who experience mental health challenges have. So a little bit about us. So Brook Red's been operating for close to 20 years. So we began in the early 2000s. I myself been working for Brook Red down here in Beenleigh for close to 5 years now. So over that short period as well, I've seen us massively grow, and it's been really, really great to be a part of such an expanding workforce. We are completely governed, managed, so all the way up to our general manager, those that sit on the board, those that partake and advocate in our community for mental health, all identify with having a lived experience. And what makes us unique is that we identify with having struggles in our lives. It's not something that we sweep under the rug. It's definitely something that we strive to be able to break down that stigma around mental illness in anything that we do. Our name pretty much says all. So Brook comes from the first centre, which was opened in Brook Street in Highgate Hill, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we carry on. But red is really what I want to highlight at the moment. So recovery, empowerment and development. We get a lot of confusion sometimes with people thinking that we're a book club. We're just missing the A, but it's definitely important, those 3 letters that we do hold in our name. We deliver services in South Brisbane, North Gold Coast area. We have 4 centres. We also provide additional supports within the areas that we do have centres as well. So we do a lot of outreach to our local hospitals. We had a little bit of a joining together with the Logan Hospital mental health team, which saw myself and some other community members as well as staff members go in for about an hour and a half and just hang out with those inpatients that are there, take away maybe some of that kind of wall that gets built up when people are in hospital, and just let them know that this is a place for them to be able to later on use as a stepping stone in their recovery. We're also really, really excited to be a part of the LGBTIQ+ movement. And getting on board with that, we openly share in any of the discussions that we have in our email addresses and acknowledgements to any conferences or anything that we take part in. We share our pronouns, and we feel that that's really kind of opened the door for things as well within our community who may be kind of shunned for being themselves. We also take part in supporting NDIS supports, but that is not needed to access any of the supports that Brook Red give. Cool. So our program. So as I said, we do have centres around Brisbane. Our first centre, originating centre, is over at Highgate Hill. And that, as I said, kind of drives where our name was from. We have Mount Cravat, Beenleigh, so currently where I'm sitting at today, and also our newest one, Bayside. So we call that Big Red. They joined together with us at the end of last year. They were also a solely run peer organisation, and 2 rad organisations joined together. So they kept their big, which is Bayside Initiative Group, and took on the red from us. All right, our Beenleigh Centre. So this is kind of like my little treasure. I hold very dear, not just this centre itself, but all of the community members that I get to meet, support and see them move on. So as you can see in the slide picture up here, our centre is a shop front. We don't have that great of signing, but I always refer to the PD computer store. So I guess that's a little bit of a business for them. But we are open Tuesday to Friday, 9 till 4. That's our opening hours at the moment due to the current COVID stuff happening. Our whole purpose of having a centre is to be able to provide a safe, welcoming and really community-filled environment for people who are needing that extra support and not having the judgment of being unwell. We offer usually, outside of this COVID stuff that's happening, a lot of programs which see us participating in community outings, music workshops, well-being stuff. So we focus a lot on obviously mindfulness, well-being tools, well-being activities, and also, sorry about the phone, we're still open today. We thought it'd be quiet. We also offer one-on-one peer orientated groups and activities, as I said. So with our service, we don't ask for any of the, sorry everyone, for the participation that they may take within the centre. So we offer community lunches as well, and that's pretty much the only charge that we have. And that's, you know, really budget friendly and allows community members to partake in community lunch for $3. That's usually a big kind of draw card for a lot of people, is being able to get a really good healthy meal and sit down with a really nice friendly bunch. I did share our address and best contact number. Best not to call us now because you'd get me talking in the background. As I mentioned before about our opening hours, it is best if you're wanting to refer new clients to just give us a call at the moment, because we're running by appointment only. And I've also just provided my email address, and I'm happy to answer any questions outside of here. Yeah, I've also shared that at the end as well, so don't feel like you need to quickly take it down now. We're quite fortunate enough to have the Red House, which is a active recovery orientated residential space, and that's located in Malcravat next to our community centre there. So the Red House, as you can see on the screen, it allows for a planned stay for those individuals going in. It does not need a referral, but we do have a process of inquiries and intake. It is a small house that is shared with external referrals as well, but we do try and encourage those community members, any referrals going in, to kind of have a bit of a goal or a mindset around what they would like to achieve in that house. So the house itself is, again, run by peers, so staff members of Brook Red, and it's completely voluntary. We do not administer medication, so it's really something where a person's going in there to just kind of collect themselves, maybe use it as a bit of a time for just physical recovery as well, and just wanted to make it clear that it isn't a crisis space for people to be going in if they're needing emergency supports. I've also given the contact details there. Blake is the awesome person that manages that for us, and the phone number at the bottom. We also offer a warm line, which is, sorry, just got to get my notes. It's a community of people, again, staff of Brook Red, who work towards recovery. We know that getting through the evenings can sometimes be lonely and difficult. We see a lot of our community members leave here in the afternoon and they're on a really good buzz. They're doing really well. They're, you know, made plans for them to go home safely. And just the loneliness, that's Grania. The loneliness of the nighttime can just be really quite daunting on a person. And we thought, you know, we could maybe do more outside of the hours that we're open in the centres. So we brought the warm line to people's fronts. I've given the number up the top as well. It's a really cool picture that sees a lot of our community members and also staff members holding those cards. Again, we do get people that call the line in distress, and it's not for us to kind of dismiss what they're going through, but again, just wanting to reiterate that it isn't so much of a crisis line, and obviously to refer people onto appropriate services and call Lifeline if necessary. Distress support, that was a good jumble of words. We're again fortunate enough to be able to work along hospitals and be able to have a space where we can be on site. So as we know, a lot of people presenting with mental illness or mental health concerns aren't able to be admitted into hospital. Just lack of funding, lack of beds, and just lack of resources. So we see a lot of people presenting and sitting in corridors for multiple hours before they're able to be seen. And so for us, we were fortunate enough to pick up some funding to be able to have a support service at the Logan ED, which is called our PAUSE. So Peer Acceptance, Support, Understanding and Empathy. And that sees, again, rostered staff members of Brook Red being there, being on site, being on call, for anyone that is needing that extra assistance. And to be honest, it's been an amazing help for the nursing staff. That's just some of the feedback that we've been given through our end of year audit stuff. So hopefully we're able to remain there. Training, this is kind of outside of the Beenleigh Centre. So we don't just offer support to community members, we also offer training to external services. So we're quite fortunate enough to hold licensing to be able to facilitate ASSIST, which is Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. I myself am a licensed facilitator for this, and we were fortunate enough to hold just outside of this COVID 2-week period, some training with some really awesome people. It's open to anyone. We had solicitors, we had these amazing women from the Australasian Birth Trauma Association. We've had a lot of people from Wesley Mission, other local services within Queensland partake in this. This training is really useful. It's a really good resource, not just for those that are struggling themselves, but be able to hold in their belt of tools to be able to deliver to anyone of the public. We're also quite fortunate enough to have the licensing to be able to deliver Peer Zone. For anyone that isn't familiar with Peer Zone, it is an originated peer-led training from New Zealand, and Brooke Red has picked up the licensing to be able to deliver that in Australia. Again, it's a useful tool, has multiple workshops, also has a toolkit side of things. So the workshops themselves are quite lengthy, but there's so much value in that. And yeah, we've really had an amazing opportunity to be able to travel down, myself in particular, to Canberra and Melbourne to be able to deliver to other services that are needing this tool. And also not just trainings, but we also are able to provide lived experience training and consulting. I can't speak too much on that as I am not too particular in that area of things, but it's definitely something that we get a lot of people wanting to know more about. Contacting us, that's pretty much wrapping up my spiel. I can usually talk quite lengthy and underwater, so I've been told. My contact details, as I said, are at the bottom again. I've given the centre's landline, which is the best way for you to call and make inquiries for the Beenleigh Centre in particular. And if you have any general inquiries about what Brooke Red do, how we can support, how you refer in, and anything about the training, that link there for the inquiries is your best avenue to try and get a hold of someone. If you're more comfortable in talking on the phone, then give the landline underneath a bell. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Carla. That was absolutely brilliant. And we have had a comment in the chat from Wendy. I had no idea of this service. Wonderful to know about.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we kind of fly under the radar a little bit as well. A lot of people get a bit scared talking about not just mental illness, but openly identifying with having their own struggles. So when we get people walking in here, it's like a whole new avenue. So hopefully I've been informative and my jumbling of words hasn't lost too many people.
No, you were perfectly clear. Thank you. And I do have a bit of a secret passion for reducing stigma in the mental health space because it is
awesome.
so prevalent, and the powerful role of lived experience is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, that light bulb sort of moment when you talk to someone who's had that same experience as you that others just don't understand. Like,
no, it's definitely moving. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some great initiatives that you guys are doing. I really love that warm line. Being in Melbourne at the moment, it's actually the afternoons and evenings that do get a little bit more challenging. So,
yes.
And I'm sure that's the case in other states and territories, given the world that we're in at the moment. So
yeah, that's definitely true. We the warm line isn't just closed to community members. We share it with people of the public as well. And through this COVID stuff, we found that there's such an influx and such a demand for people being able to talk to other people who get it. Yes. You know, everyone's struggling and stuff, but just not having that, you know, the manual that you need to read to be able to connect with someone, you know, being able to share that pain and having empathy for a person that's in the same boat as you. We see that that's definitely got movement in it.
It's very real, isn't it? It's
yes.
Very real. Actually, we have a question from Wendy. So the training is for all people, not just those with a lived experience?
No, for all people. So I put it back up. Again, they're the 3 that we offer for anyone that is just wanting to come along, assist, peer zone, and the training consulting. They're all really valuable. I'll quickly touch the assist is a 2-day thing. The peer zone is a 4-day thing. If you're wanting more details, just shoot me an email or get on the inquiry hotmail or email.
Brilliant. Thank you. And cool. Wendy says, great, thank you. Awesome, Carla. Thank you so much. And we'll actually be circulating all the presenters' contact details within the next week. So you may get some questions, because that was a really great presentation. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me, everyone.
Cheers. Excellent. All right. So our next presenter is at 1:30, so in about 7 minutes. And that is Cheryl from the Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre and Beenleigh Supported Accommodation Service. So she'll be up at 1:30. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back, everyone. I think that would have to be the shortest break we've had so far. So let's keep things moving. We just heard from Carla Scott from Brook Red with some great information about the services her organisation provides. Now, up next, I have the pleasure of introducing my colleague, Cheryl Bown from Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre and Beenleigh Supported Accommodation Service. She's going to take you through some of the information about the centre, about the service, and all the great things that we get the opportunity to be involved in. Okay, so welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, everyone. My name's Cheryl. I'm the manager at the Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre. I've actually been employed by the Beenleigh District Community Development Association for close to 15 years. I've been the manager here for 5 or 6 years now. So I'd like to just have a bit of a chat about what we do and our programs. And so let's get started. Okay, so firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land in which we meet. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So as I said, I'm the manager of the centre, and we are actually run by a not-for-profit organisation known as the Beenleigh District Community Development Association Incorporated. The facilities are known by the locals as the Beenleigh Neighbourhood Centre. So we're based in the centre of Beenleigh Township, behind the courthouse and police station at 10 James Street. So I suppose ultimately, like everybody else that's been doing their presentations over the last couple of days, we are a not-for-profit. We obviously are a registered charity, and we have the ongoing support from the Logan City Council, who we lease our buildings from, the Queensland State Government, the Department of Communities and Department of Housing and Public Works. Okay, so our values, our core purpose is to improve the quality of life for individuals and families, whatever their circumstances, and to foster a strong sense where all people are safe, valued and empowered. Okay, so our organisation has a long history in the township of Beenleigh. We started as a volunteer organisation back in the 1980s. We became fully incorporated in 1987. We ran 3 programs originally from our hall. Our office, which I started in nearly 15 years ago, was on the staging area, which was not fun. 10 years ago, we approached the Logan City Council to lease the old council office that faces onto James Street. So council with state government proceeded to renovate the hall and the meeting rooms, and they built a new extension on the front of the James Street building. So our staff and outreach services work from the front extension on James Street. We've got the 2 large meeting rooms, and we have the hall across the car park for hire. Currently, our boardroom, where we'd normally have our own meetings, is being used by JP Services. And the reason simply is that they need extra space, and it's all due to COVID and social distancing. So we have a 3-tier structure approach. So we have a management committee who are volunteers, myself, and program staff. So like most of the smaller not-for-profits, we, as I said, are operated by a volunteer management committee. They govern the organisation and the programs. So we're a very small staff. We have 2 full-time workers in the supported accommodation program, but including my role as manager. We have a part-time community development officer IT worker, who is Anthony, and he works in the community support services program. We have volunteers who support us with the operation of our reception, and we also have our volunteers who run our groups and activities. So as you can see, we have our 3 logos up there. So some of our groups have been here for a very long time. So 2 that spring to mind, we have our craft ladies who have been meeting here for nearly 30 years. And we have a ninjutsu martial arts group who've been meeting here since 1988. So those 2 groups actually used to meet in the old hall. The craft group now meet in our front building with us, and the ninjutsu group still use our hall. They're here 3 times a week. We also have an international cooking club. They've been meeting here for 13 years. And that was born from the idea that food and people would create social connections. So some of the original members are still in that group, and they still meet twice a month. So our groups range from self-interest groups right through to outreach and community services. We have the JP Services 4 days a week, Public Trustee of Queensland, who are currently on hold because of COVID. We have several psychologists, other outreach organisations who hire our officers. Through our IT, we've repurposed one of our side offices and turned it into a public computer room with 4 PCs. So obviously community members and public children, kids come past, they can use those computers for any length of time. We don't say you have to be out in an hour. So we have regulars who come here quite often. We've also just switched over to NBN, and so that has assisted us with our capabilities. We're linked up with Wi-Fi in all our spaces. And the latest thing that we've done is made sure that all our meeting rooms have fridges, tea and coffee making facilities, and access to toilets. So that makes them self-contained, which means that our community members don't necessarily need to come into a space like our reception area. And the big news for us this year is we've just had solar installed on both our buildings, and that was paid in part by a community benefit grant. So we have 2 main focus programs. We have the supported accommodation service, which is our key focus for BDCDA, and it does present challenges from time to time. We continue to provide a high level of service, and we've had the support of the relevant government departments to see that our clients' needs are met. It requires our organisation to be responsive and flexible as necessary, and is a testament not only to staff, but the process that we have in place and the working relationships that we have with our stakeholders. So our supported accommodation program is made up of crisis and transitional properties in the Beenleigh and Eagleby suburbs. Families come through referral or by walk-in. Primarily, families have been identified as being at risk of homelessness and quite often have a history of DV, substance abuse, or have just fallen on hard times. Families generally stay in our supported accommodation service for 6 to 12 months. As every situation is different, we need to be flexible, but we understand that our clients may need extra time before exiting our program. We have a second program, which allows the families to move and stay in the second property with us for around 6 months before becoming a tenant with the Department of Housing and Public Works. Also through grants and fundraising, BDCDA has also been able to supply homelessness packs in the community. Or as a registered organisation, accommodation service, we are registered to use the Queensland Homeless Information Platform. This is a database that is run by the government. We have access, only housing workers have access to it. And basically what it means is that the clients can come to us, tell us their story once, and then we can enter their details into the platform, and then other agencies can see the same information we can see. So we can add to it and others can add to it as well. The housing and family is always subject to vacancy. We obviously only have limited accommodation, which means that at times we can do intakes, but unfortunately we can't always house a family. So the work that we do with our housing clients is done out of the view of the public, obviously, for confidentiality reasons. We deliver our community-based programs at the front and at the centre of our organisation. So we've been able to deliver seminars and workshops targeted to a broad range of audiences. Some events have obviously been more popular than others. Each presents us with an opportunity to refine and improve our models for delivery and the marketing requirements of each. Okay, so our other focus program is community support services. Now that program is primarily run by Anthony, he is our community development officer. So he sort of looks at community needs, and then we look at the implementing of projects and events, including this virtual conference and resources each year. So our regular community groups who use the centre remain the backbone of our neighbourhood centre, and their ongoing patronage is a measure of our relevance in our local community. So community participation and support is paramount to our providing services. Our support services obviously are similar, like I've said previously, is the JP Services Public Trustee. And some of the centre highlights are listed below. So we've done some amazing work over the last few years. We've done an Indigenous music workshop week, which was known as Jimbalungari. We've done the Sphero robotics with the children. We've had trivia nights, breakfasts, lunches. We did an electricity workshop. We supply and also support our schools where we can. We've had a DV roundtable with government, and we also auspice the local primary school with their student support services. So they provide kids with breakfast, make sure that they've got shoes and books and uniforms. So as we're a charity, we hold their money, and then we auspice that actual program. So in the next part of my presentation, there are a few community pictures. So we obviously have done some larger events. So in 2017, we ran a Free Family Fun Day event that was to celebrate the Beenleigh 150th celebration. So it was estimated that we had 5,000 community members attend on the day. So the decision was made at that point that we may run another, which was meant to be this year. So unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So it's been put on hold. So here are some of the photos of the day. It was an amazing day by a very small group of volunteers and stakeholders, business, and we came together on the day. It was just amazing. So you can see by the pictures that I've just picked a few, but we had dozens of photos taken on the actual day. So we had intention at the beginning of last year to have another Free Family Fun Day, and unfortunately that's been postponed due to COVID. We've also just recently, with Anthony coming on board with some of our putting it out there to our community, the establishment of our community garden group. So this group is a small group of volunteers from our local community who've decided that they wanted to have a community garden. So with the support of those people and local business in the Men's Shed and the council, we've been able to get all our infrastructure in place. And now the group are planning the next part, which is about the implementation of the actual garden. So we're really looking forward to that. Like all organisations, BDCDA has had to look outside the box. So we've had to look at being COVID safe and looking at our workplace principles. And obviously, like everybody else, we have our like most I speak to, we have our front door locked. We now temperature check, and also we do the other things like contact details and sanitising hands and making sure all the groups practice social distancing. And most of our groups just want to be able to do their thing and be part of our organisation. So they hated it when we were on lockdown for 10 weeks. But some of them are coming back now and they're very excited to be back in their space. Okay, here's our activities and groups. This is what we would have when we're running at capacity. Some of these groups obviously aren't meeting again yet, but we do have a cross-section of groups who meet. And obviously there are details and contact information there for people to use if you wish to talk to them directly. Looking into the future, well, we've got uncertainty with our new world, haven't we? So our determination is about community support, and the homelessness sector obviously has to remain front and centre of our mission and values. We just have to do what we all need to do, and that is make sure that we're connecting with our communities. So I have put up some information there on that slide, so you've got the different ways of contacting us. And lastly, I would really like a big shout out and thank you to Anthony and Stefanie for all their hours preparing this conference. It's been absolutely amazing. I've been actively in the background for virtually the whole time, and I have to say you guys have done an amazing job. And as presenters, there's so much information out there. It's going to be so exciting to see it all come together at the end. So thank you.
Okay, Cheryl, thank you so much for that. We've had one question come through in the chat from Taylor. Taylor has asked, do you offer accommodation for individuals or just families? I know the answer to that one, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah. Okay, so Taylor, it is families. We're funded to support people, families primarily. That's not to say that we won't refer individuals onto other organisations who deal with that target group. So hopefully that answers your question.
We've got a comment from Wendy. I've visited so many times and it's great to hear all about the centre, such a rich history. Beenleigh is so lucky you were there.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, obviously I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't do this job if I didn't enjoy doing it and having that connection with my community. So for me, it's important. It's important that we maintain our viability, especially in our local community, and to work with such lovely people and have great volunteers who could ask for more. It's just great.
Okay, that's great, Cheryl. We'll let you go now, and thank you again for presenting. Much appreciated.
Thanks, everyone, and hopefully we all talk soon.
Thanks, Cheryl. Next up, we will have a presentation from Dragana. Now, Dragana, I apologise if I've mispronounced your name. Dragana is a community support worker at Multilink. So she will be up in about 8 minutes time. So we look forward to hearing from Multilink then. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Just a shout out again to Cheryl for your last presentation. That was really wonderful and gave us more of an understanding of the work that the neighbourhood centre and the accommodation service provides to the community. And obviously without the Beenleigh District Community Development Association, this conference wouldn't be going ahead. So thank you so much, and to Anthony and to the staff and the volunteers as well. Okay, so up next we have Dragana Pahulu, and apologies if I didn't say that correctly. She's a community support worker for the Multilink Community Services. Thank you and welcome.
Hi everyone, I hope you can all hear and see me okay. Apologies if my camera moves a little bit. I'm using a couple of boxes to try and get this Surface Pro up. Thank you so much, Steph, for the introduction. Like Steph said, my name is Dragana Pahulu, and that was a very good pronunciation. I'm the community support worker at Multilink Community Services, and I'd like to thank Anthony and Steph for today and for inviting me to do a little presentation on Multilink and our services. So just before I begin, I just would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. Multilink stands on Yugambeh country, and I'd just like to pay my respects to the elders past and present, and any elders that might be part of this conference today as well. So Multilink, for those of you who don't know, we're a multicultural specialist service provider. We're actually a government funded neighbourhood centre as well. Our services that we provide go across 8 local government areas, and some of the activities that we do are statewide projects as well. Annually, we support in excess of 9,000 people, and our clients come from all different kinds of backgrounds. So we do work with Anglo-Australian, culturally and linguistically diverse, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. And we do also support New Zealand citizens through some of our programs as well. I know that's a big cohort that often miss out on support in this area, particularly. So we do provide support for them as well. So just in terms of our physical location, for those of you who don't know where we're located or have never been to Multilink, we are located on 38 Blackwood Road, Logan Central, and we're right next door to the Logan Diggers Club. So I always use that as a point of reference for people because that's the building that they know, and we always say we're just next door. So that's where we're located. We do also have 2 other premises, which are our overnight respite centre, which is our cottage respite, and our day respite and community centre, which I will be talking about a little bit further along in my presentation as well. So some of the services that we currently provide are employment and training, which is Skilling Queenslanders for Work funded programs, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, so we are an NDIS registered provider. We do aged care for people over the age of 65, community care for those under 65, financial wellbeing, which includes NILS, energy literacy, and all of our work that we do with the Logan Financial Literacy Action Group. Our community centre and community workers, so that's part of our neighbourhood centre funding, which is my position and the position of my colleague David, who works under our CAMS statewide funded Pacifica position. We do youth, and we also do refugee settlement. And please feel welcome to ask questions throughout the presentation, or if you'd like to save them until last as well. I'm happy with either. So just in terms of what we do as a community centre, so Multilink is a government funded neighbourhood centre, as I mentioned earlier. So we identify and respond to the needs of vulnerable individuals, families, and our local community. And we're a universal entry point for information, referral, and direct support services. So we are open to anyone. This is just a brief list of some of the things that we do. So we do have JPs on site as well. We do provide Coles bread delivery. So we get one of our volunteers actually collects it from Lechner, brings it to Multilink, and that's for the community to access. We do budgeting and money management sessions as well. So that can be either in a group setting or individually one-on-one. We do develop resources. So for example, with our budgeting and money management session, we would also develop some resources to go along with that. We do participate in community celebrations and activities and work a lot in partnership with other organisations in Logan as well. We also do a couple of big events throughout the year, which is Cultures in Harmony and our Burmafest event as well, which unfortunately had to be cancelled this year due to COVID. So we are also part of a few community networks as well. We provide the Secretariat support for the Logan Community Suicide Prevention Network, which meets here on a monthly basis. We're also part of a few of the domestic violence networks as well. We're part of financial literacy, essential services as well, which is the cost of living, energy literacy, all of that sort of stuff. We also have facilities that are available for hire. So we've got 3 rooms located at our Blackwood Road office that are available for hire. We do material assistance and referrals, disaster resilience. We also work with an organisation down in the Gold Coast called Baby Give Back, who do baby items as well. And with the Brisbane Period Project as well, so we provide sanitary items for our community through them. So the community centre program, so our neighbourhood centre, is for anyone in Logan. And when I say Logan, I mean all of Logan. I know for some programs it might be suburb specific, but we do all of Logan. And some of the things that we do, we can outreach. So if you've got a group of clients that you, let's say, for example, would like to do an energy literacy session for, we are able to come to you. So you don't necessarily have to come to Multilink for us to be able to do that. So our Pacific Island community worker is a statewide funded position under the CAMS program. And through that position, they do a range of community engagement, social cohesion, participation activities. So it is for individuals and families. So David, who is the worker under that program, goes into schools as well. He does mentoring, big events throughout the year as well. There's also a Northside and Southside Pacifica and Māori workers network that he convenes. So if any of you would ever like to present what your service does at either one of those meetings, then please get in contact with us and we can pop you on the agenda as well. So that's just a bit of a brief outline of some of the things that are done under that program. And for this one, the eligibility is that you have to identify as being either Pacifica or Māori background. We also have a new program that's about to commence, which is the NDIS Community Connectors program. So it's outreach for culturally and linguistically diverse people who have disabilities, and it's to support them to engage with the NDIS service. So the bicultural and multilingual workers that will be employed by Multilink provide the practical support for CALD individuals and their families to access the services. And it will be primarily for people in the Brisbane and Ipswich areas. So we're currently recruiting for staff for these positions. So keep an eye out and we'll have some more information about this program for you when it's up and running. So we also do employment and training, which, as I mentioned, is under our Skilling Queenslanders for Work funded program, which is under the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training. And this allows people to access training at no cost to them. So it's a skills and job outcome program. So the idea is that the people that access these programs and this training that we have available do and try to get them a job afterwards when they complete that training. So they do have 26 weeks of support following the completion of the program to try and help them get a job as well. So they're not left to fend for themselves when it's completed. So the current programs that we have available under the Skilling Queenslanders for Work program is the Cert 2 in Health Support Services, Cert 2 Automotive Vocational Preparation, Cert 3 Individual Support, Cert 2 Retail, Cert 2 Warehousing Operations, and our Certificate 1 in Hospitality traineeships. And in addition to these training programs, our employment and training team also do Job Hub computer classes, and we have a job notice board in Multilink as well that people can access. So this is just a little bit about the eligibility for the SQW programs. So the participants have to be 15 years or older and not enrolled in school anymore. they have to be either an Australian resident or a temporary resident with a work permit, or a New Zealand citizen, or unemployed, or on a Centrelink payment for the last 6 months. And I did capitalize the "or" there because people tend to read that part and think they have to meet all of those criteria. So it's if any one of those are applicable to you. And they do eligibility tests prior to the enrollment as well, just to make sure you haven't done any prior training that will restrict you from accessing this program. And also English proficiency, along with many other things, is very important for our employment and training. So you have to be able to conversate in English and have good numeracy and literacy skills to fully engage with the course. So our aged care service, so our community home support program, or CHSP as we call it, is for people who are over 65 years of age. So these are some of the activities that are provided, or services that are provided, I should say, under the CHSP program, which I won't go through them all. And this presentation will be available afterwards as well, if anyone would like a copy of it. So you don't have to profusely take notes or anything like that. We also provide home care packages, which is for higher needs clients, and those are levels 1 to 4 as well. And the level that you're on depends on the need that you have with the service that you require. We also do a community visitors scheme. So our community visitors are volunteers who go out to residential homes or go and see individuals to provide social support. So it's more of a social support thing. The Queensland Community Care Services is for clients who are, or community members who are under the age of 65. So under this program, we provide basic support for people with conditions that restrict their day-to-day living and their engagement to community, or they're not eligible for the NDIS program. So we do that through daily living support, community living support, and community transport, nursing and allied health as well under this program. And our National Disability Insurance Scheme. So we are a registered provider, as I mentioned earlier, as well under the NDIS. And these are the registrations that we can support clients under. So personal activities, participation in the community, nursing, help with household tasks, interpreting and translation, centre activities, and therapeutic supports. Our Day Respite and Community Centre. So it's a Monday to Friday centre, and they do a range of in-centre group social activities as well. They do monthly trips, sometimes 4-day or 2-day getaways with the clients, information sessions about their health or anything else that they might find beneficial or useful to them. We also have specific cultural days for our clients as well. And we also have a full commercial kitchen, which is the photo that you can see in the top there. And those are our hospitality trainees that are cooking in that kitchen. So they learn their hospitality skills in our kitchen at the Day Respite Centre and provide meals to our clients, and also lunches up here at our Blackwood Road facility as well. And this centre at the moment is closed to clients due to COVID. So we do have some restrictions in place at the moment with some of our programs. And I'll touch on that a little bit later as well. Our overnight respite cottage is for 24-hour supervised care for usually up to 5 clients. At the moment, we can only take 1 client at a time due to the restrictions with coronavirus as well. So this program supports and assists primary carers of consumers to take a break from their caring role. And they also provide some wellness activities for clients while they are staying at the respite cottage as well. So this is just a little bit about referrals to the aged care program as well. So previously you used to be able to contact Multilink directly and put in a referral. Now it's either through My Aged Care or through the access point. So this just provides you a little bit of information about the referrals and how to access those programs. And Our aged care program is delivered from Brisbane South, Logan River Valley, West Moreton and the South Coast as well. And that just depends on the program that you want to access. So our financial wellbeing program, so we do our energy literacy and advocacy. We're also part of the Logan Financial Literacy Action Group, and we do the NILS program. And our NILS is actually for Logan, Brisbane, Ipswich, Gold Coast and Toowoomba. Just a few changes to the delivery of NILS. We do still do it in person, but we do also deliver it over the phone. So clients don't necessarily have to come into Multilink to access that program. And for those of you who don't know much about it, so it's a loan of $1,500 that is no interest. So whatever the client borrows is all that they have to pay back. And you can use it for, so some of the items that you can use it for are education, you can use it for household appliances, car registration is a big one as well, any car related items, technology, so phones, laptops, any of that sort of stuff. A couple of things that you might not know is that the loans now are completed online through the My NILS app. So previously where they were done on paper, clients could have multiple loans through multiple agencies, and the only way that you could really know if they had an existing loan was if it was on their Centrelink statement and said that the Centrepay payment was going for a NILS loan, or you could see it on their bank statement as a transaction. Now, through this app is you can actually see the client's history of NILS loans, and it also helps us to see if the client has had a NILS loan previously and if they've defaulted on that loan, if they've got one at the moment and they're not paying. So if someone says, oh, no, I don't have a loan at the moment, and it turns out that they do, we can actually see that information now. And you can have a second concurrent loan through the NILS program, but you have to have paid at least 50% of the first loan off, and the client can't have more than 2 loans, and the outstanding of the loans combined can't be more than $1,500 or $2,000 if you are experiencing domestic and family violence. So sorry for that heap of information that you've just been provided, but I'm able to answer any questions that you have about anything that you've heard so far, if needed. Our youth program is called Reconnect NAYS, which is a newly arrived youth specialist program. They provide early intervention and individual support to clients who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. And they support them with education, housing, employment, family relationships, community engagement, and independent living skills. These are some of the things that they do under this service as well. So they do a schools outreach to Woodridge State High School, Beenleigh, Keebra Park and Southport. A range of events that have a youth focus as well. We do have a youth hub in the afternoons. We run school holiday programs, pre-employment support. We have parent and carer information sessions as well. So that's just a bit about what they do. And to access this service, there is a little bit of an eligibility criteria to become a client. So you have to be between 12 and 21, in Australia for under 5 years, and under a refugee or humanitarian visa holder. But in order to access some of the other supports and activities, for example, Homework Club or the school holiday program, you don't actually have to be a registered client, which means you don't have to be under those eligibility criteria. Our settlement program, which is the Settlement Engagement and Transition Support, provides support to newly arrived refugee and humanitarian entrants who've been in Australia for 6 months up until 5 years. And it's to support their participation in Australian society, to support them to become self-reliant, and they deliver information sessions and workshops, activities to support their settlement journey in Australia. They do case support, information and referral, information sessions on different topics, social connections and community engagement activities, skills-based development, which is our bilingual English classes, sewing classes and computer classes as well. And we do annual consultations with diverse communities as well. So the activities that we run are from the community need through those consultations. The eligibility for the settlement program, so you have to have been in Australia for 6 months up until 5 years, and under these particular visas, and this is, for the Loganberg Desert SLA. Our community support program doesn't have an eligibility criteria. We can work with anyone. We just work in the Logan area. So if they don't fall under one of these specific programs, we might be able to work with them under community support or the neighbourhood centre program. So these are just our multi-link contact details. If you'd like any further information about what you've heard today, just our address, website, Facebook and phone number, and also my contact details directly. If you have any questions for me that you'd like to ask, you're more than welcome to make note of this and contact me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions, and a lot of the inquiries that we do receive do filter through to me, and then if I can refer them throughout the organisation or externally, then we do that. And that's it for me. Does anyone have any questions?
My goodness, is there anything that multi-link does not do? Seriously, you guys are incredible. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that presentation.
No worries. I think that sometimes people don't realise the actual suite of services that we do. So I like doing these presentations just to jog everyone's memory, and if there's anything new that we've got that's happening. And
yeah, absolutely. And that's, that's one of the main aims of this conference, is to just increase people's knowledge of the services that are available for the Beenleigh community. So we've had a couple of comments from Wendy. So those hospitality students provided refreshments to our financial wellbeing day via financial group, and it was wonderful. Provided the venue, which made it possible financially. So thanks to Multilink, Trogani was a big part of that organising group in the pre-COVID days, and we had a good turnout.
No, thank you, Wendy. Thank you for that comment. It was pretty delicious. They're a very talented group of students that we have, and we're very lucky that we get lunch provided for us as well that we can purchase from here.
Fantastic. And she also staff at Multilink.
How many staff? Well, that's a tough one for me, because we've got staff that work from our Blackwood Road office, but we also have staff that are out in the community. So our people who work with our disability clients in aged care, we've got support workers that are out all the time. We also have our bicultural workers. So I would say probably in excess of 100 staff, plus that's not including our volunteers as well. So we do have volunteers too. So
amazing. And her response was, wow. No, that's really incredible. And it would be great if you're able to share those slides, because they were quite detailed, and loved how you provided the eligibility criteria as well. So that will certainly circulate those around to the conference attendees.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Steph. And I emailed them earlier to Anthony as well, just before I forget to send them through. So
wonderful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're down to our final two presenters for the day and for the conference. So at 2:30, we have Rhys Madron from Anglicare Southern Queensland. So he will be presenting in about 5 minutes at 2:30. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the conference. Now I have the privilege of introducing Rhys Madron from InSync Youth Services, which is a part of Anglicare Southern Queensland. Okay, Rhys, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for allowing me some time to tell you a little bit about the services that Anglicare provides. I unfortunately don't have a flashy presentation like my predecessor, so please forgive me for that, but I do have the ability to talk underwater. So they'll stop me at 15 minutes. So I'll tell you a little bit about Anglicare's response. We work in the housing and homeless area, obviously amongst a whole range of other areas like aged care, etc. But homelessness is something that we're very passionate about, and I'll give you a very quick overview of the homelessness services that we provide. It's important to note that some of these services aren't in the Beenleigh or even Logan region, but because, as you may know, they're few and far between, it's worthwhile knowing where they are so that you can access them if needed, even if it means people having to go out of the area. We provide a women's service in Toowong where there is on-site accommodation for adult women, and there's also a program for pregnant and parenting young women, 16 to 25. You can hit me up later if you need any of these details for contact. We also have youth services spread across the south side of Brisbane and in Logan and Redlands. It sounds like there's a lot, but there's not as much funding as I'd like, I have to tell you. We have instinct youth services at Cleveland and Redlands that provide transitional accommodation, a suite of 2-bedroom units around the Redlands area, and we provide counselling and drop-in and mobile support down there. In Maciulaitis, we provide crisis accommodation at a service called Nathaniel House that you may know of, and some transitional accommodation there. Nathaniel House is for 16 to 18-year-old young people who find themselves at the risk of homelessness, and our transitional accommodation is for 16 to 25-year-olds in a share house with a lead tenant. The one most local to this conference is our Instinct Beenleigh service. We have our office located these days in the Corridor Business Centre in Manila Street, Beenleigh. At that site, we provide centre-based support to young people from high school age up to 25. We only have a small amount of funding to do that, but if you are looking to get some case planning, case management assistance for a young person, you can certainly get in touch with us there. The contact for that office is 3386 2000. From that site as well, we manage a crisis accommodation house in Eden's Landing, which has 4 beds, and also 2 2-bedroom units, which we call transitional accommodation. The crisis accommodation, again, is for 16 to 18-year-old young men and women, and the transitional is for 16 to 25-year-olds. And like a lot of specialist homeless services at those sites, we work with young people across our sites to help them engage with building a genuine relationship with them, and also helping them to set some goals and make some decisions around where they'd like to be in the future and how we can assist them to get there. So it really is very much a youth-focused approach. We also have another service that's loosely connected with the housing and homelessness, and that is we have a food van which we added last year under the Dignity First funding from the Queensland Government. This food van provides opportunities for young people who have had an experience of being at risk of homelessness to gain valuable experience in understanding food preparation and nutrition. So we can drag this van around to various homelessness accommodation sites around the southeast corner to help do some training with young people. The other side of the food van business is that we have young people work inside that food van to gain experience or to get traineeships while the food van is out doing food van things, which includes going to events, corporate events, and where you see food vans hanging around, I suppose. We are trying to focus that business in the Logan area solely at the moment, just to help maximise its potential. It isn't a service that goes around and feeds the homeless, just so you know that. It's more about equipping young people with skills they need to help them lift them out of the current experience if that's what they're going through. I also have some, since I don't have a really great slideshow, I just will hold up a brochure. And if you'd like some of those who'd like an electronic version, please get in contact with us at InSync Beenleigh and we can send them out to you. What else can I tell you? I suppose it's what we find really heartwarming is when we have an experience with a young person and we can share that with the community around what a difference their journey has had happen when we can get alongside them and help them get somewhere they're really wanting to go. A good example was that we had a young lady who came to us last year from Middle Eastern descent, and she was living in a relative's house over in a few suburbs away from Beenleigh. And unfortunately, it was a very unhealthy relationship there where these people were aunt and uncle, and she was subject to some family violence in that house and was pretty much being treated a bit like a slave. And despite her contacting parents back over in her home country, they couldn't seem to get out of the situation. So she eventually left the house and became homeless. And she did come to our services at InSync Beenleigh, where we were able to, excuse me, provide her with supported accommodation, where we have staff on site at the crisis house 24/7. And she was able to continue her studies at high school and went on to complete her year 12 through some collaboration with other agencies. We were able to help her attend her school formal, getting her a dress and had her hair and makeup done, all with no cost to her. She also participated in our food van program, which is called the Good Grub Club, working at various events on weekends and out of school hours. So to increase her skills in the hospitality area. And we're very proud of her that she completed that and was able to and leave our accommodation with assistance to go into independent accommodation in a student share house environment as she goes to continue studies at university. So that's just one lovely little story that we've got amongst a multitude, and as you may expect, they're not always good, but we do our best to work with young people to make a real difference in their lives, champion and encourage them to get to where they want to go. Now, I don't have a great deal else to say, which is surprising since I thought I'd be cut off at 15 minutes. But just to encourage you again that if you'd like to get in touch with us at InSync Beenleigh, you can contact us at 3386 2000. And if you'd like pamphlets or further information, you can email me at rmaddren@anglicaresq.org.au. That's rmaddren@anglicaresq.org.au. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Is there any questions?
We haven't had any questions come through yet, Reese. However, I found that case study of that young lady really uplifting. Yeah, you guys, you changed her life. You really did, working alongside her like that. And you're obviously very passionate about what you do and those people that you help. Do you have a lot of positive cases like that?
Yeah, I suppose we hope that, like, statistically, we report to the Department of Housing and Public Works, and probably about 3/4 of our young people will meet half or all of their goals, up to all of their goals, while they're staying with us. Of course, for some people, they may only stay with us 2 or 3 weeks, and it's really hard to achieve all your life goals in that amount of time. And we partner with other agencies like the Foyer, in Logan, and other longer term accommodation to help young people transition. Some of those young people stay with us as clients when they leave our accommodation, so we can continue to support them and give them some continuity with their case plans. Yes, I put some credit down to ourselves, but I put most of the credit on the shoulders of the young people, because it is a privilege to work with young people who are so malleable and ready to embrace life, not cranky and old like me, so that we can make with them, help them make a real impact and make some big life changes. Of course, like a lot of services that work in this industry, there are plenty of sad stories as well, but that's what happens if you're working with people who are living on that vulnerable edge. So yeah, we like to think that we can help create a little difference for young people to really generate that change in themselves. If they believe in it and they own it, then it's got the most likely chance of success.
Yep, exactly. Couldn't agree more. Just a couple more questions. I was particularly interested in the crisis and transitional accommodation in the Eden's Landing area. Now, those who work in housing and homelessness probably know the difference. And I guess it's a government term, crisis and transitional. Would you mind just quickly explaining the difference?
Sure. Those definitions have altered over the last few years. In a general sense, I suppose, that crisis would be called immediate need now. So if you're finding yourself homeless, you can call up the Homeless Service System, any of the services, and we can look at the database, which you may have heard already in the conference, it's called a QIP referral, Queensland Housing Information Platform, and we will go hunting looking for a bed somewhere, no matter what age you are, no matter what gender, however you identify. And for us, the guide is around, we're looking to be around the 3 months, but some people will stay 9 months because of various circumstances. Some people will only stay a couple of weeks. So in our crisis or immediate housing, that's kind of the time frames around there, but it is make a phone call. If there's a vacancy, that person can come in that day. When they do, they don't need to bring anything with them. We will provide bedding to sleep on. There's food there for them to eat. It's a share house kind of environment with a 24/7 youth worker there. And in the transitional units of accommodation they can be anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half stay at those places. Again, while people are staying there, we're looking at the next steps of accommodation, so there's a smooth transition. Sometimes you have to grab stuff when it becomes available because there's not enough supply.
Yeah.
But that's the roundabout timeframes around the transitional accommodation. Of course, those places are pretty independent, where you have a relationship with the key worker who supports you every week, but you're living by yourself. So that's for 16s up to 25.
Sure. So it's all about building that independence, but having somebody alongside you on the way to provide the extra support.
That's exactly right. And
yeah.
In the immediate housing, we're looking at, there may be opportunities for young people to return back home if that's a good environment to go to, and we can work with them around that to transition back there. If not, we're trying to help them get ready for independence.
Sure. And with your, is it the Good Grub Club food van?
Yes.
Just curious, if there's ever any community events held, maybe after this post-COVID time, do you have that van available to attend events and sell food and that sort of thing?
We do, that's right, yes.
Yep.
So again, you can get in touch with me and I'll put you on to the worker, Lauren, who runs the food van. It is, even though it's a not-for-profit, part of the idea that it's become self-sustaining business. So as I said before, we don't go around and try and feed people. Out of the goodness of our hearts, we're actually trying to equip young people to train up, and then they go out and they earn some money while the food van's out selling good quality food.
No, that's fantastic, Reece. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll let you go now. Thank you so much for what you do, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. We're really grateful. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, next up at 3 p.m, which by my watch is 15 minutes away, we have, who do we have? We have Taylor Excel, Senior Case Manager, Beenleigh Community Corrections, part of Queensland Corrective Services, State Government. Okay, we will see you at 3 p.m, where Stefanie will be with you to introduce Taylor. Thank you.
Alrighty, we are down to our last presenter for the conference. And before I move into introducing Taylor, in terms of the attendees, we'd love it if you could stick around following Taylor's presentation to complete a poll, which will only take a maximum of 1 minute. We would really love it if you could do that. So next up, we do have Taylor Excel, and she's a Senior Case Manager for Queensland Corrective Services, specifically Beenleigh Community Corrections. Thanks, Taylor.
Perfect. So I'll just start by introducing myself. So Stephanie, as you mentioned, my name's Taylor Excel. So I'm a Senior Case Manager at the Beenleigh Community Corrections Office. And this is my colleague, Emily. Emily Cooper is a case manager here at the Beenleigh Community Corrections Office. So we'll just be giving everyone a bit of a rundown on community corrections and I suppose a little bit about what we do. Just like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging. And we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present today. So just a bit of an overview of Queensland Corrective Services for those of you who might not be familiar. Basically, we're a government agency. We contribute to a fair, safe and just Queensland by managing custodial facilities and supporting the rehabilitation of clients within the community. So QCS is a key responsibility of the Queensland Government, and along with courts and the police, we're a central component of the criminal justice system. In partnership with other key criminal justice agencies, we're committed to the critical role of community safety and crime prevention. So in total, QCS operates 14 correctional centres across the state, as well as 35 community corrections officers and over 140 reporting locations across the state as well. So this ensures that prisoners and clients in the community are provided with appropriate classifications, supervision and access to programs, education and vocational training to maximise their chance of success of reintegration into society. So who we are. So our strategic objectives are safer correctional environments, humane management of prisoners and offenders, and partnering and community collaboration, which is sort of why we wanted to be a part of today, and also to stop crime. This is just a snapshot of sort of community corrections. It just shows that we supervise over 21,000 people in the community. We've got 36 district officers. In relation to community service, there's been more than 383,000 hours of community service done within the community to a financial value of about 10.8 million. And then you can just see the demographics there on the side as well. Should I take this one? So types of community-based supervision. So there's a number of different orders that clients can be subject to in the community. So including community service orders, intensive corrections orders, alcohol-fueled violence orders, graffiti removal orders, probation orders, court-ordered parole and board-ordered parole. So the case management process, just in a bit of a nutshell, involves clients who are subject to one of those types of orders, or can be several types of those orders. They come to us at various stages of their lives, each with differing needs and levels of risk. So basically our case management is tailored to suit the needs of that particular individual, as we aim to address the risk that they also pose to the community, sort of a balance between that and their needs as well. So the case management process involves undertaking assessments for each individual client. So basically that's to ascertain what the cause of their offending behaviour is, and in an effort to implement a tailored plan to disrupt a return to criminal behaviour, and hopefully to implement some pro-social supports as well. So case management involves, but it's definitely not limited to, engaging clients in the case management appointments with their officers, both at the office and also in their homes. Undertaking programs that are specific to their offending profiles. So some of them are run by QCS and some of those are run by other non-government agencies as well. They may be required to engage in psychological assessment and counselling. And we also really hope to increase their protective factors. So things like stable accommodation, stable employment, and pro-social relationships as well while they are in the community. And hopefully that can provide them with a little bit of stability.
In relation to community service, so community service provides an excellent opportunity for clients to make preparation to the community affected by their offending behaviour, and it can also develop employment skills. So the reparation work is performed by clients in the community under the community services orders, the graffiti removal order, alcohol-fueled violence orders, intensive correction orders, and the work and development orders. So in 2018 to 19, QCS partnered with a number of non-for-profit organisations and local councils to supervise clients performing unpaid community work as part of a court order. So we're kind of hoping, being part of this forum, perhaps we could partner up with some other non-for-profit organisations. The clients that are referred to community service within the community, they have to meet certain eligibility and risk levels as well. So we're not going to put high-risk offenders with like community service projects that are out in the community. We do that a different way. So
yeah. So there's a bit of an assessment process that we'll undertake with each individual client based on obviously their skill set, their interest areas, obviously the types of offences that they're subject to the order for, and hopefully pair them with a really well-suited community service site.
The community service projects can include beautification and maintenance activities such as rubbish and waste removal, graffiti removal, restoration of the park, facilities and waterways. They can undertake education and training to increase employability or counselling to complete the community service hours. In 2018-19, clients in the community completed more than 383,000 hours, as I said before. Yeah, it's a lot.
So I suppose the main reason that we really wanted to be a part of this not-for-profit conference is really just to promote some partnership and community collaboration within the Beenleigh jurisdiction and a little bit, I suppose, more broadly as well. So a huge part of our role with community corrections is engaging our clients with local support services and intervention providers. We really want to have a collaborative approach so that can enable us to increase a client's community connectedness and success while subject to supervision. So potentially there's been, a little bit of misconception or perhaps just not a whole lot of awareness in the community around sort of what our role is in our approach. So we do try to have a really therapeutic approach and lens to how we undertake our case management. Ultimately, our goal is to stop crime and to keep people out of correctional centres. So we feel like a collaborative approach and getting people linked in with their local communities is a really important aspect of that. So as you can see, this is a bit of our strategic map. So the second component of that being strengthen partnering and collaboration. So basically delivering on our commitment to community safety through a collaboration with our government and non-government partners and building and fortifying those partnerships with key stakeholders to provide a safe and sustainable correctional system. So
we hope to work collaboratively with all local services, including domestic violence support for victims, education and training, substance misuse programs and intervention, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander services, services for clients from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, housing and homeless supports, mental health services and supports, family and children, and the vulnerable cohorts within the community, such as the elderly, people with disabilities, and
LGBTIQ+ as well would be a large aspect of that. So ultimately, we're open to whatever services and support our non-for-profit and non-government agencies are able to provide and support our clients with. They're just a few of, I suppose, the areas that really stick out to us in terms of what we feel like our clients are sort of really looking for. So we hope that this is an opportunity to partner with some of our local agencies and support services, and particularly those other panelists from the conference, to really, I suppose, leverage off the support that you're able to provide us and our clients.
So how we hope to work together, delivering on our commitment to community safety requires partnering and collaboration with government and non-government partnerships, building and fortifying those partnerships with key stakeholders is crucial to providing a safe and sustainable correctional system. So information sharing and referral processes, obviously really important, collaborative case management, joint meetings and co-location opportunities, which is where we can meet at the different locations of where the reporting services are.
Yeah, so I suppose with that co-location opportunity, that's an opportunity for us as case managers within corrective services to potentially work within your space and even leverage off some of the programs or interactions that you're having with mutual clients. But alternatively, there is opportunities for other agencies to be a part of our office and our team to work from our space as well and provide that support to people in our office. And it just sort of removes some of those barriers for clients, whether it be transport or childcare or just time. So sometimes we find that's a really beneficial way to increase a client's engagement and support as well. So this is just a bit of information on the Beenleigh Community Corrections Office. So we're located on 101 George Street in Beenleigh. So it's sort of just next to the Dan Murphys. We will be relocating to a new office a little bit later in the year. That's also on George Street, but a little bit closer to the shopping centre. So that's our telephone number, and I've also popped there our email address. So that's our generic email address that all of us case managers and senior case managers have access to. So if you do have any questions or anything you would like to touch base with us about following this presentation, please do reach out to us. You can either attention it to myself or Emily if you'd like to speak to us specifically. We each carry a particular portfolio, which basically is we're just the conduit for that information and the contact person. So if you have a particular service that you would be interested in providing or support that you might be able to offer or some sort of partnership, then we can definitely link you in with the staff member within our team that focuses in that area. We also have a reporting centre that's set up in Bow Desert, so we have staff members that attend that each week, as well as Coomera Station and Jimboomba Police Station as well. Excellent. So that's pretty much the end of the presentation, but if anyone has any questions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. Taylor and Emily, it's a real pleasure having you here today. And I think you're absolutely spot on. It's actually really important for not-for-profits within the not-for-profit organisations, particularly within Beenleigh, to get an understanding of what you guys actually do in community corrections and you know, opportunities for collaboration.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely. We do have one question from Carla. Is a case manager similar to a parole officer? Could you please explain the difference?
Of course. So a case manager essentially, I suppose, is a parole officer. So we're referred to as case managers because we case manage people who are subject to both probation, intensive corrections orders and parole orders. So people are basically just categorised based on their risk and need levels. But we also have community service officers as well. But if you are hearing people refer to their parole officer, then yes, that's people like Emily and myself. So we do have a really close working relationship with our clients. I'm assuming mutual clients, for a number of you who would see, I think, the same people that we would see on a day-to-day basis. So we really think that this is a space that we can really leverage off. It's sort of a situation where we don't necessarily have the same level of services that we're able to provide and offer, but we really hope to be able to leverage off that that each other local service has discussed and mentioned that, you know, they'd really like to partner up with as well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for answering that. And look, I think this is the start of a conversation for quite a few organisations who have attended the conference. So thank you. And just out of curiosity, it's been a curious question for both myself and Anthony over the past 2 days. But have your roles as case managers shifted since COVID hit?
Definitely. So we've had to really work quite innovatively in terms of how we still can undertake our core business, which is community safety, during what's a completely unprecedented time. It's taken quite a lot of effort and time in terms of working out the best way to go about things, but ultimately the foundation of our role has maintained the same. We're still having contact with our clients on a really regular basis. We're all still working out of the office where we can, just sort of obviously keeping with COVID safe plan and everything like that, but it's definitely been challenging. It's been difficult, and I think one of the things I've noticed is just with the closure of some community services and support services, we've found that some of our clients have really been struggling during this time. So to be able to hear over the last 2 days some of those hotlines and contact numbers that we can provide to our clients is really, really helpful.
Yeah, they're so important for our clients. Our clients really need that support and that community connection, and it's what it's one of the things that keeps people from offending is having those supports and those services available to them to be able to access when they're in their times of crisis or when they really need it. So yeah, we've gotten so much out of the last 2 days. So it's been so good for us.
Yeah, thank you so much for enabling us to be a part of this forum. And I think you really struck a chord when you said that this is starting a conversation. And I think for us, from QCS perspective, we really want to just increase community awareness around our role and what we really hope to achieve, because it's probably not something that I think too many people are familiar with unless they've had some sort of contact with us already. So as I mentioned before, we're a little bit different in that we don't necessarily have a service to offer in I guess similar to some of the other panelists, but we definitely want to be able to leverage off that support. And I know I can speak on behalf of Emily and all of the other case managers here that we definitely have a number of clients on our caseloads that would be really, really grateful for some of the support that you'd be able to offer. So I'm sure that there'll be a number of referrals coming your way.
Brilliant, excellent. That was, one of the big purposes of this conference, smashing those silos and increasing people's understanding of what's out there available to them. So over the next week, Anthony will be sharing some of the slides and the contact details for organisations that presented over the past 2 days. So you'll get that in your inbox within the next week. So
excellent. And everyone, please feel free to reach out, even if you do have any questions, even if it's just sort of down to our role or QCS in general. If you just want to clarify anything, be more than happy to answer any of those. And
or if you think you'd have a good community services project for our people.
Definitely always looking for new community service sites and projects. So if you've even just got an idea, please feel free to reach out and let us know, and we can have a chat about what that might look like.
Fantastic. Well, just chatting to Anthony just earlier, I think he'll be reaching out to you guys with some ideas
Excellent.
in the distant future. So
Perfect.
fabulous. So thank you for joining us over the last 2 days and for your presentation this afternoon.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Thank you. See you later.
I would just like to thank everybody who participated. I would like to thank our panelists. I would like to thank our attendees, and I would like to thank Stefanie for agreeing to host this event with me. Without you, this wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it had, and I'm very grateful.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, Anthony, truly. And I think I mentioned to you over the past sort of couple of days, being a Melbourne person, I've learned a lot about the Beenleigh community. It's an amazing area with so much support. It's absolutely fabulous. And I think the focus of these past 2 days is something that I can take back to organisations here in Melbourne. Obviously, we're in a very challenging time in Melbourne, and I think the not-for-profit sector in Victoria will be facing a tough road ahead in the next sort of 12 to 24 months. And I think it's events like these that bring people together, reduce those silos, share information, and get to know one another to continue supporting the community. So thank you for this opportunity, Anthony, Cheryl, and all those involved. And to all the attendees and the panelists, it's been absolutely amazing.
It really has. And we've had a few comments come through in the chat. Sarah said, thank you guys, great job. Thanks, Sarah. Cheryl said, awesome work, guys, thank you. And Wendy says, and so say all of us. That is thanks for organising, so professional and great to have a few bridges between the silos of our individual services.